Hello, welcome to my channel. You're watching What Helen Reads and I'm Helen, and today I have got a reading vlog for you. So I have actually had a little bit of book mail, which is very unusual. It doesn't happen too often, but I've got a couple of things to show you, so I thought I'd do that to start off with. But the main purpose of this vlog really is for you to help me through what I think is going to be a fairly traumatic experience of reading an ARC copy of Hills of Shivers and Shadows by Pam Godwin. So yes, that's right, I was lucky enough to get an ARC copy of Hills and Shivers and Shadow from Pam Godwin, and I am filming this on the 9th of March. The book itself comes out on the 12th of March, so I've got this weekend to read it. It's quite a big book at 712 pages, so it's going to take me most of the weekend to read. I also know it's a very dark romance, and you know, some of her darkest that she's ever written, so I'm expecting lots of twists, turns, suspense, horrors. I'll be pearl clutching quite a lot. And I think I'm going to need to talk about what I read. I am going to try and make it non-spoilery as possible. I do like to give a lot of details when I talk about books, so I'll definitely be saying some things, but as it's a new release, and I'm hoping this vlog will go up next week, so just a week after release date, then I don't want to give too much away, but I definitely want to record my reactions to some of the parts of the book. So before we get into that, like I say, I just wanted to share with you some book mail. So now, I've been away for work over the last week, and when I got home I was delighted to have 3 packages waiting for me. The first one was this book here, The Nephilim's Fellowship by Eliza Hampstead, and Eliza sent me this book to thank me for being a beta reader for this particular one. I've talked about this book a couple of times before, so if you want to know more, please check out my reading wrap up for the month of February. But I just wanted to show you this and also thank Eliza publicly for sending it to me. She sent it to me to say, "Dear Helen, thank you so much for your support." Now, this is book 4 in the War of the Nephilim series. I do have all the other books in the series, which she has kindly gifted to me as well. So I'm very delighted, absolutely delighted to have this one in my collection and to finish off the series. And it was great to see in the acknowledgements that she also thank me. So to my beta readers, specifically Helen, who gave me invaluable feedback and were instrumental in shaping the books into what they are today. So like I say, delighted to have this one. My name's in the back. It's very exciting. It's the first time that's ever happened, and I'll be putting this onto my bookshelf with pride. Then the next thing I got was this lovely box from an author called Lainey de la Roque. And now, I've never read anything from this author before, but she reached out to me on Instagram and asked me if she could send me a PR package basically of her latest book, and also a few little goodies. So it was really sweet inside. It was nicely gift wrapped with a sticker, and then there was this envelope and a really nice folded piece of vellum that says "Start Here," with some information about the book. This one is an art copy. The book itself doesn't go live until March 30th, but it is on my TBR to read this month, and now I've got the book, I will definitely be doing that. And she sent me some stickers as well. So the first one is "Busy getting tied up in book words." So a nice little sticker there. A little card with her name on it. Another sticker. Another card with what I can only assume is a character from the book. I got a really cool little bookmark for the book, and there is another book on the back and a QR code, and this very interesting postcard as well. So that was a little bit of swag that I got with the book, and a little covering note, like I said. And then the book itself, this one here, Malevolent, which is book 1 in the Deviants of Onyx Grove. It's really nicely designed and printed as well. It's got some nice pages in here and different chapter headings and things, so I'm definitely going to be enjoying reading that one. And on the back it says, "My name is Jade Hadley and I'm back in Onyx Grove, the crime-ridden city I once called home. Today I start work at Onyx Entertainment, a company that hides many hideous secrets. I'm here to expose them all and destroy it from the inside. I'm here to lay claim on the whole Onyx Grove. Not that the Warwick family will let me, When I start work for Hunter Warwick, Onyx Entertainment's marketing director, he has no idea who I really am. Neither does his brother Alex, the CEO, or their trusted friend Leo, who is some sort of shadow leader. The three of them will soon learn what it means to be Jade Hadley's enemy. They will try to stop me, but I'm not one to back down. So that does sound interesting. Like I said, I've never read anything from that author before, so looking forward to diving in, and we'll let you know what I think in my March wrap up in early April. And then the last box I got was a my book box from Jen from the Book Refuge. I am one of her patrons and sign up to the Fun Favourites books box, which means that every quarter she sends me one of her favourite books from the previous quarter and some goodies as well. So I have already opened this, but it was really well packaged, lots of lovely tissue paper and everything. So first of all, it came with this cute little card and a couple of little stickers. And it was Valentine's themed, this pack, because obviously we got the packs they were sent out in February. This cute little box with a heart on, and inside some cute little goodies. There was a clay face mask, a rose one, a similar one which was Dead Sea. There is some lip balm in here, and also a portable compression towel. So that must be one of those towels when you pop it into water it expands out and you can wipe your face, but we'll see when I get to that. She also makes handmade gifts as well, which is absolutely brilliant, and she knows I love Star Wars. So she's made this trinket tray which is spotty on the inside, and then the design on this is Star Wars, and so it's a nice little trinket tray for me to put things in, and in the same material, a nice material bookmark. There is some goodies in here, and then the book that she sent me was Silent Lies by Never Al-Taj, which is part of the Perfectly Imperfect series, and one of my favourites of the series so far, where we follow Drago and Sienna. And then she doesn't fully annotate it, but she always kind of like puts little tags in and some comments in here of just a couple of places in the book where she wants to highlight a few things. So I'm very happy to have this in my collection and flick through and have a look at her comments when I get the chance. Now that's everything that she sent me in the book box, but there was a few extra things in the box because Jen also has an Etsy shop where she makes a lot of book sleeves and other material goodies, and I asked her if she'd send me some things, so she very kindly waited until my book box was due to ship out so she could package everything together and save me on a bit of shipping. So the first thing I got was, again, in the same Star Wars material, I've got this zip sort of pocket, which would be great to store some cosmetics in and things in my handbag. And then some large book sleeves for sort of indie books. I've got this one which has got schools on. I absolutely love schools. So this is a really nice sort of book sleeve. I'm actually buying a few every now and then when I can, because I'm trying to build up enough book sleeves that I will be able to take them with me to Rare 24 in Edinburgh, and when I buy some books I've got something to bring them home in so they're protected. Then I've got this one with owls on, which I thought was really cute, and then this one which is sort of stags in a night sort of sky with some trees, which I thought was really pretty as well. So they're the items that I treated myself to as well, like I said, that Jen kindly shipped in the box to me. So that is everything that I wanted to share up front. But now let's get to the actual reason for this blog, which is Pam Godwin's Hills of Shivers and Shadow. This is book one of what will be 3 books, I believe, in the Frozen Fate Trilogy. So the blurb says, abducted and taken to a remote cabin in Alaska, Frankie finds herself at the mercy of 4 feral men, each with his own dark secrets and twisted desires. With nowhere to run, she must rely on her wits to survive the harsh winter trapped with them. As she delves into their mysterious past, she uncovers an insidious evil that feeds on loyalty and uses love as a weapon. Nothing is as it seems. In this desolate world where the monsters are as beautiful as they are cruel, trust is elusive. They torment her, protect her, and keep her in the dark, but to have any chance of escape, they must stand together or fall prey to the evils in the Hills of Shivers and Shadow. Now, there is a really big list of trigger warnings for this. There's both non-spoilery triggers and spoilery triggers. I'm not going to look at those at all because I want to, I do know a little bit about this book, but I want it to be as spoiler free as possible. just so that I get the complete shock factor and you get my genuine reaction as I go through when we come across things that I just didn't know about. What it does say though is what tropes there are. So the tropes are abduction, adult romance, alpha hero, angsty, anti-hero, band of brothers, a billionaire, bully, captivity, dark romance, enemies to lovers, first love, forbidden love, forced proximity, found family. It's a poly story, 3+ people, the protector element, romantic suspense. I imagine it's going to be very suspenseful, like I said. Scars, slow burn, stalker survival, taboo, tortured past, touch her and die, tragic vengeance, V card, hero, and why choose. So quite a lot of tropes in there, and like I say, I'm very excited to get stuck in. So I am going to pack this stuff away. I have one video to edit, and then as soon as I've finished editing that video, I am going to be locked into this book for the rest of the weekend, and I'll pop back in when I have got something to share, either just to say I'm here, I'm doing it, or when something happens that I just absolutely have to talk about. So I'll see you soon. Bye. So it's now Sunday the 10th of March and I'm 34% through this book. I didn't actually read as much as I wanted to yesterday because editing took me longer than I thought, and I was hoping to be able to read all day today, but then I also forgot, which I feel really bad about, but I forgot that it was actually Mothering Sunday today here in the UK, and I'm actually going around to see my mum this afternoon. So I've read a couple of hours last night, a couple of hours this morning, and I'm now at 34%. I'm still waiting for something really bad to happen, and I feel bad for saying that. I mean, some uncomfortable things have happened so far, but it all feels a little bit creepy. You know, like that film, Final Destination, where you know someone is going to die and you're constantly anticipating how the person is going to die. And you know, there was one scene in that movie where a woman actually ends up dead in her kitchen, but at first, you know, it focuses on the boiling water in the pan and a knife she leaves out on the side, and you know, a glass she drops on the floor, that sort of thing, and you're constantly waiting for something really bad to happen, and that's what kind of really builds the tension and the anxiety while you're reading this book, and that's kind of what's happening here. So the main heroine in this one is Frankie, and it starts basically where she has had an argument with her husband because she has recently found out that she is pregnant and her husband doesn't want children, and so they kind of have this sort of argument and he leaves the house. Now her husband is extremely wealthy and they live in Sitka in Alaska, and they basically live on an island. And I imagine it's very similar to, you know, that the film The Proposal, where they have to take a boat out to their little island where their massive house is and things like that. So after this argument, she kind of thinks that she might leave her husband, and she kind of packs a couple of bags and loads her boat up with various things, but she decides that she's going to stick around, wait for her husband to come home from work and have another chat with him. Meanwhile, there is this man called Denver who's come, and he's decided it's time that he is going to come and take her and kidnap her. And what we kind of realise straight away is that he's been watching her for some time because he's had cameras basically in her house. So he's clearly been watching her for some time, and he's taken this as a perfect opportunity to take her. And in fact, if he takes her, as long as there's no sign of struggle in the house, the husband will assume that she's just left him, because at the end of the day she's already packed a bag and it's on the boat and everything, so it will appear that she's just chosen to leave her husband, and so it's the sort of perfect timing really for her to be kidnapped by Denver. And then basically she is sort of kidnapped by him, and he does drug her and tie her up and put her in a crate and things for about 4 days as they travel in a boat for about 4 days. They get to a dock and then they take a plane to actually where Denver lives, and the place where they live is obviously much further north, much more remote, and it's the place that they called Hoss, which is the hills of Shivers and Shadow. And when they get there, basically he has 3 grown sons, and they're all clearly intelligent men, but also very animalistic, and potentially have some serious mental health issues. Now, what's really creepy about this is that they kind of like drop her off on the plane, and she's kind of free to move around. She's not tied up or drugged at this point. because it seems really that they kind of need her to know and push some boundaries and need her to know that there's absolutely no way for her to escape, like they are literally in the middle of the nowhere. And it also appears that they're very reliant on Denver because he's the only one that knows how to pilot the plane. He seems to be the only one who knows where they actually are located. And you start to suspect that the sons are just as much victims as she is, and we're starting to learn a bit more about them. Still, it is very suspenseful and gripping because we have absolutely no idea how much the sons know, what they know, and they're very evasive. So she asks a lot of questions, but they don't really answer any of them, and they're very, very evasive and don't want her to know things. But you do very much get a sense that Denver is trying to play his sons off against each other, and he has deliberately picked her for some reason, and he has some sort of master plan, and still we're not 100% sure what that is. Now, other creepy things have happened, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but other creepy things sort of have happened. She's discovered a kind of what looked like a fireplace, like a pit out in the woods, and she's discovered the remains of human bones. So she figures out that this is some sort of crematorium where they have clearly taken other people before they have died, and they've basically burned their bodies. And so obviously that is quite an horrific discovery on her part, but still I'm expecting it to get a lot worse before it gets better. So I'm still waiting for something seriously horrific to happen, but just constantly on the edge of my seat wondering what it's actually going to be. So like I say, I'm 34% in, really enjoying it so far. Definitely lots of intrigue, really interesting characters, and I really like the main heroine, Frankie. She is a really strong sort of heroine. I really like her because she is also comes across as quite sensible as well. So she's tried to push the boundaries, she's tried to ask questions, she made an attempt to escape, she is starting to do her research and gathering information and making notes on what she knows so far, in the hope that if she does escape, then she'll have information that she needs to kind of make sure that the relevant authorities can find them, and and she's got all the evidence she needs and all of that sort of stuff. But she hasn't, and although she has been quite defiant and that has resulted in a punishment, she is kind of seems to have now learned her lesson, and she's not sort of like some other heroines might be in other books. She isn't doing anything too crazy to get herself into unnecessary trouble or get the sons into any unnecessary trouble. So I really liked that about her, that she's kind of like level-headed, playing the game, trying to figure out what's going on, but being the right level for me of attempting to escape, not accepting what's happened to her, but doing it in kind of a very kind of measured and safe way. So I hope that will definitely continue. I'm sure that it will. Yeah, we'll see how it goes from here. So I'll stop by again when I'm a bit deeper into the book, because I'm expecting as we get closer to the end, more information and facts will be revealed, and I'll probably have much stronger reactions to what's going on in the book than what I've had so far. So I'll check in with you again soon. Right, so it is now Monday the 11th of March in the morning. By the time I went to bed last night, I actually had read up to about 67% of this book, and since my next check-in, it's definitely taken a much darker turn. Now I'm going to try and be as spoiler free as possible, but equally there will definitely be some spoilers as I try to explain what I've read so far, what my thoughts on it are, but also I'll try and be vague, so because I really think this book should be experienced. Now obviously I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, because yes, this lady had been kidnapped and she has been held hostage by 4 men in the middle of nowhere. But until, I would say, I can't even remember exactly, but still, until about the 40% mark, nothing really that bad had happened. There were actually, they showed a bit of animosity towards her, but no one had touched her, no one had hurt her. And then it started to take a bit of a turn. So the main character in this one, Frankie, she's absolutely, definitely playing a long game here. She is trying to figure out what's going on, trying to keep a record of what she knows, keep all the facts in straight, to figure out if she's the first person they've taken, what's happened to the other women, who the mothers are for these men that seem to be the sons of Denver, and just basically what is going on. Now, what we kind of are aware is that the sons, so we've got Leo, Cody and Wolf. They are the sons, and they very much don't want her there because they know that she's going to upset the apple cart, as it were, and they're also afraid that she's going to come between them, and so they are quite keen to stay away from her, not get involved with her, and stay together as a unit. And it has also become apparent that Denver, the father, he absolutely wants her disrupting their quiet life and to try and put a wedge between his sons, because we think his ultimate game is that he wants the sons to have feelings for this person so that he can use her as leverage against them. And that's kind of what the setup is, and he's really doing it, obviously manipulation and control, to keep the sons exactly where they are and maintain the power in this place that they call Hoss. Since the last check-in, she has found out a lot more now, so she knows a lot more about what's going on, what Denver's intentions are, and like I say, it has taken a very dark and disturbing turn, yeah, it's getting up to a crunch point because they're in sort of the Arctic Circle, I guess, very high north. If they're still in Alaska, that's also a question we don't know. The winter is going to set in and they're going to be trapped in this place where they'll not even be able to get the plane in and out. So she's basically got about 6 months to endure what is going on in this place. And that's her timeline in terms of trying to get out. Now, while this seems, so far, it kind of seems all pretty clear cut in terms of what we know. Obviously, this is still only 68% into quite a long novel, and there are still 2 more parts to this story, right? So we know that even though quite a few things have been revealed so far, we know this one's going to end on a pretty big cliffhanger, and I think that we're not even at the tip of the iceberg in terms of what is actually going on around here. And also, there is a hint that somebody else might be outside the camp. There's been several references to her seeing something outside of their camp where they are, some sort of dark shadow. She feels like she's being followed. Now, it could be them, but is there somebody else out in the wilderness? And if so, what have they doing about it? Because does Denver have any help and support? Are there other people like him in that area? Or does someone know about him from his past? So these are all questions we still don't know the answers to. Like I say, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we know so far. It has got quite disturbing, as I've said, but still nothing too horrific. I'm holding on, and I'm confident that we will push through what is going on right now to a better future for everybody. But let's see. Right, so I am going to grab some breakfast now, maybe read a little bit more before I have to start work, and then hopefully I'll finish this one this evening, so I'll be back with you shortly. Good morning, it's now Tuesday the 12th of March, and it's the release day for Pam Godwin's book, and I finished it last night, so I'm going to be submitting all of my reviews this morning. It was absolutely a 5-star read. Not at all because it had me smiling throughout, which is a lot of books that I give 5 stars to. It's just because they've got such feel-good vibes and I'm smiling throughout. Another reason I give 5 stars is because the book has been absolutely brilliantly written. And Pam Godwin's writing is absolutely impeccable. It really is. She's such a good, dark romance writer. Her books are absolutely gripping. And this one was no exception. I couldn't put it down. Now, it did take me 3 nights to read it, but it is quite a lengthy book. But I didn't regret any single page. In fact, I wanted to stay with them for much longer, which is great since there's 2 more books coming out in this trilogy. I think everything that she explored in this one absolutely needed to be there. There wasn't a wasted word on any of the pages. And I absolutely thought it was fantastic. So I wouldn't say looking forward to reading books 2 and 3, but I am very keen to know what happens to these characters because it's ended on quite a big cliffhanger. They are in quite a predicament, and I just, yeah, need to be with them to see how it's all going to work out. So although this is sort of video vlog, normally I would do way more spoilers. I don't feel that I want to spoil this book for you at all. So all of the information I've given you so far is probably as much as I'm going to give you. What I will say is that for the first 40%, like I've said before, you're like, I don't see where this is going. Yes, she's been kidnapped. Yes, she's in a difficult position, but nothing too dark happens until around the 40% mark. And then suddenly it turns and we find out a lot more things about what's going on, why they're all there, who they all are. And it gets very dark very quickly. Now, I've said before as well that I don't really have any triggers, but even then, this is quite disturbing to read. It's quite shocking in parts, and so you really kind of need to kind of brace yourself for the content of this book. If you do have any triggers at all, I really, really suggest that you check out the triggers on Pam Godwin's site, just so that you're prepared for them, because some of the information that is revealed in this book would be very triggering for some people, so please check those out. However, Pam deals with this subject matter in such a great way. She doesn't really kind of like dwell on anything too much, and really it's about how these characters are dealing with what's happened to them, what they're going through. And what I absolutely loved about this one, I said this before as well in a previous clip, the main heroine in this one, Frankie, is such a strong woman. She is so capable and very, very impressive in terms of the way she conducts herself and she holds herself and some of the decisions that she makes in this book. And I really, really liked the way that she, is just able to hang on to her inner strength, basically, and is determined that she is going to survive and that she's going to get out of the situation that she's in. The other characters within the book as well are absolutely brilliantly written. The sons in particular, so Denver is pretty evil, but the sons in particular are very, very interesting characters, and I can't wait to see how they continue to develop. The other thing that I'll say, just in terms of the tone of this book, I was scared that it would be kind of like verging towards horror, like this would be quite like really frightening. And while this is like extremely dark and it's extremely challenging mentally, it wasn't frightening. I never felt sort of frightened at all as I was going through this. So it was very suspenseful. It was quite shocking. Some of the content was, like I say, very dark, a little bit grueling, a bit traumatic, but I never felt frightened through this book, which if you don't like scary things, then I just wanted to confirm that I do not like scary things at all. I hate horror movies, and I did not feel frightened at all going through this book. It certainly conjured up a lot of other emotions, but scared wasn't one of them. So anyway, if you are thinking about buying this book, reading this book, I absolutely recommend it. If you have no trigger warnings or few trigger warnings, I absolutely recommend you go into this one as blind as you can. I think when I went into this one, I kind of understood the premise that this was somebody who was going to be, this was a woman who was going to be kidnapped and taken to a very remote location and held captive by 4 men. But if that is your kind of only knowledge when you go into the book, I think that will serve you well, because I think some of the reveals in here would be ruined if you knew too much about kind of what happened. So I highly recommend it. I also don't normally, I'm the sort of person that doesn't normally like reading duets or trilogies. I don't really like cliffhangers too much, and I kind of want to get to the end, and move on from a couple. Once I've got the couple story, we want to move on. Let's not linger too long. Why does it need to be drawn out over 2 or 3 books? But in this particular instance, it's this particular book. So although overall I think it is going to be a polyamorous romance, this first part of this book really is not romantic at all, and it's more about you know, finding out what's going on, character development, and moving towards a place where some of these characters can have a HEA. But we're not there yet, and I absolutely loved every second of it, and I'm glad this is a very long book, which, like I say, is very unusual for me because I don't normally like to read really, really long books, but it needed every single word. Like I said, no word was wasted, and it was an absolutely fascinating to read, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. And I am going to go away now and write my reviews for Goodreads and Amazon and get those sent off. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video vlog. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me. I'll see you next time. Bye. Anyway, I probably said too much on that. I don't know. The other reason I give 5 stars to a book is because it's absolutely been brilliantly can't even speak this morning. And Pam Godwin, I literally cannot speak this morning. I swear I haven't been drinking. So first of all, well done, Helen. It was really sweet. I'm not very good at this.